Welcome back, Ted. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Nerona recently released his report on the criminal investigation into the ILO deal. Just to remind folks, this was a more than $5 million state contract that Governor Dan McKee's administration awarded soon after he took office. Bottom line, Nerona is saying there was no criminal wrongdoing found, but he says, quote, the governor personally and directly intervened to steer that contract to ILO, an organization that had ties to McKee and his allies.
Yes, so although there's no criminal wrongdoing found, it's certainly not a good look for the governor and his administration, particularly, Michelle, because the governor repeatedly insisted to reporters there was no wrongdoing at all, no misconduct. He did not get involved in steering this contract. We now know that's not true. We also had other revelations in the report. There's this complex web of financing where people involved in ILO were getting a political consulting firm to help McKee with an unclear chain of funds around that, and an email where one leader from ILO told a colleague that the bid was, quote, fixed.
People are posing the question, how fair was this report? Again, given that there was no criminal wrongdoing, it was a question that Nerona was asked at a press conference. Here's what he had to say.
I think, we're caught between, how do I put this? People who may not want us to share what we think or share the facts, and then people who want public transparency. And you can't have it both ways. Number two, as I said earlier, all of this material on which these reports rely, hold on a minute, Brian, is public. And so, someone needs to put it in context.
And Governor Dan McKee is saying this investigation was a waste of taxpayer money.
Yes, and I presume that's what he will continue to say, as well as his allies. And it's now going to really come down to the court of public opinion about how voters feel about the revelations in this report within the lens on McKee's planned run for re-election in 2026.
Before we get to 2026, let's look at 2024. We have two mayoral races in Rhode Island that are being viewed as competitive. Let's look first at the one in Cranston. We have Republican incumbent Ken Hopkins, who is facing his Democratic rival Robert Ferry. You recently moderated a debate between both men. Let's hear first from Ferry, followed by Hopkins in that debate.
If I had a surplus as the mayor, I would spend that money on the things that the people are constantly complaining about in the city, like rodent control and getting trees trimmed and roads fixed and sidewalks fixed, if we had a surplus. So I think any accountant can tell you you have a surplus when you really don't have one.
When you're doing a budget, you have to balance between taxes and services. The amount of money that we used from the ARPA funds was to give tax relief to the people of Cranston. We did that for the first couple of years coming out of COVID.
And Hopkins really is a rare bright spot for Republicans in Rhode Island at this moment.
Absolutely, Michelle. Cranston is still a place where the GOP is organized and competitive. They feel that Hopkins has cross-party appeal. They think he can hang on. But Democrats think Ferry has a shot because presidential year turnout is higher and usually benefits Democrats.
Okay, let's turn now to Woonsocket, where we have Mayor Christopher Beauchamp, who's seeking a full term as mayor. He'll be facing off against City Council President John Ward. Again, you recently moderated a debate between the both men. Let's hear what they had to say specifically about homelessness in the city.
The homeless situation is a multifaceted problem, and it's not just the city that's going to solve it. We need the public safety people's involvement. We need partners in the community.
People have a right to have the best benefit of our public parks and our public facilities, and that cannot be a permanent home for people who are otherwise unhoused.
And this race is really hard to predict.
Yes, it's nonpartisan, so you don't have party labels, and so much of it is about former Mayor Lisa Baldelli-Hunt and how she left office. So I'm very interested to see where Woonsocket voters land.
Thanks so much, Ted.
Great to be here.